Thanks so much for being here. I'm Lee, and today I'm excited to share my approach for comfortable confidence so you can show up and speak up with more authority when it matters most. I see the impact of this work every single day, and my method is super simple. Today, I'm going to share some of my favorite tools so that you can feel immediate impact in your everyday interactions. This work applies to both spontaneous and public speaking because I believe the best public speaking is spontaneous. And we are speaking in public constantly today, and it's rarely at a podium. It's on social media, it's in challenging conversations, work meetings, and pivoting from Zoom to in person events. And the key here is to find consistency so that you can feel more like yourself and work less hard to be heard. And for me, I always struggled speaking up. I would get the palpitations and the throat constriction, and suddenly I would lose my train of thought and my personality. I was raised by a mime, and I joke that that's why I had trouble speaking up. But really, I had horrible social anxiety. I was so confident doing the work itself, but the moment I had to talk about the work or talk about myself, it was like my personality went out the window. I would get really formal. My work was as a theater director, and I loved helping people tell stories on stages of all shapes and sizes. Because theater doesn't pay, I worked as the assistant to a neuropsychologist for 13 years, where I learned about trauma and executive function and focus and anxiety. And I started to combine tools from these two worlds, from theater and production and presentation, thinking about character and story, with neuropsychology and cognition, thinking on our feet and regulating our nervous system. And that's where I've come with my comfortable confidence approach. These tools helped me, and now over the past 10 years, these tools have helped thousands of brilliant people speak with more authentic authority. I do this work through private coaching, my group coaching program, which is an incredible opportunity to practice getting more comfortable in a group space, and of course, my corporate team workshops. So, do you agree that you communicate with confidence when you're comfortable? If you do, then confidence is already inside of you and you just have to access it. And this work of comfortable confidence is designed to help you reclaim your voice, your presence, your trust from anxiety and toxic workplaces. So, what is stealing your presence? What are you actually focusing on when speaking? Because that is the opportunity to reclaim your presence. Are your distractions physical, things like palpitations, throat constriction, air hunger, sweating, blushing, blotchiness? Do you get dry mouth or a shaky voice? Do your limbs start to shake? Do you feel cold? Do you have gastrointestinal problems or physical tension? Do you fidget or pace or swivel? Do your eyes move rapidly as you're like searching for words? Or are your distractions more internal, more emotional? Maybe you lose your train of thought or have nervous laughter. I always had that. Or even nervous crying. Me too. Do you speak fast? Do you have racing thoughts? Do your thoughts become very circuitous as you start to trail off and no one knows if you are done? Do you find that you're second guessing yourself? Do you speak in a very suggestive tone as if you're not really sure of what you are saying, but you are seeking that approval? Do you shrink or minimize yourself? Maybe you fill the space unconsciously. Maybe you apologize. Maybe it feels like you're watching yourself and wondering, am I being clear? Or maybe your distractions are more environmental and based on the circumstance that you are in and the audience that you are speaking with. This can be really harmful in toxic workplaces and other social spaces where we feel like we have to work harder to communicate, particularly for underrepresented voices. Maybe in these spaces you say too much, or maybe you stay really quiet. Maybe you find that you're comparing yourself to others or over-indexing facial expressions. In any case, you might be dreading and avoiding these opportunities, which is doing the world a disservice because we need to hear from your voice. In this work, I really reject the idea that I'm an expert in communication. I have been doing this work for 10 years with thousands of people, and the work works. But I am not the expert of your voice. You are. I work hard to be the expert of my own voice, but I have very limited experience and a ton of racial and spatial privilege. I work for myself. And so it's really important that you trust your gut. Take what works and throw the rest out the window. This is intuition practice. And so let's dive into comfortable confidence. As I said, I believe you communicate with confidence when you're comfortable. That's why I created my group coaching program. In this group space, people have the opportunity to practice being present and to unlock their voice in groups, and it works. It is so interesting how striving to project confidence does not work. And if you've been working hard to seem more confident, you already know this. And that's because confidence is inside of us. I believe that confidence is the byproduct of a combination of a few things. The combination of consciousness, as you align your attention in the present moment, with comfort and the ability to regulate your nervous system to alleviate anxiety, with clarity and knowing what you want to say as clearly as possible in the moments. This is how we cultivate trust. We do this in this work by combining content, what you want to say. So I give you frameworks and formulas, a bit of like fill in the blank so that you can create structure and spontaneous speaking moments. With delivery, nonverbal communication, helping you regulate your nervous system and optimize your focus so that you communicate with more clarity, confidence, and cohesion. The combination helps you be more comfortable so you can be yourself and access your innate confidence, which is already inside you. We do this with tools that are designed to make the unconscious conscious. The tools that I recommend also happen to improve your hormonal confidence. And the tool wants to take up space in your brain, literally the part of your brain that wants to overthink, race and run ahead, over prepare. We want to give that part of your brain a job. These tools are like distraction mechanisms so that when you eventually return to the habitual behavior, as you will, because you're a human being, the opportunity is to refocus, reset, and restart. I have one rule in this work and one rule only, and I keep it simple on purpose so that you don't doubt yourself. And here it is. You can do anything you want, anything at all, as long as you do it consciously, as long as you're making a choice. And that's why I see such tremendous impact and relief for my clients in just one private session. My clients walk away, and when they come back for a second session, I can see the difference. I even had someone the other day with lifelong anxiety report that after our first session, her boss told her that she seemed more confident. In this work, it is so important that we cultivate self-compassion. And no surprise, when we're anxious and our nervous system is dysregulated, self-compassion becomes less accessible. And guess what becomes more loud and accessible under pressure and anxiety? Yeah, criticism, our ability to criticize ourselves. And so that's something to remember, especially if you feel anxious or you're in a toxic workplace or social space. I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite focus frameworks. These are tools designed to help you feel more comfortable and confident communicating. I'm going to share one tool of physicality to get you more physically comfortable and at ease, and another tool of content, organization of ideas so that you can speak with concise clarity. Here's one of my favorite tools. I call it the lean back. A lot of us are leaning in unconsciously, and that can create tension in our bellies. It can make it harder to oxygenate the system and activate our vagus nerve. And studies have shown that just by bringing attention and awareness into our physical body, into our body language, we can improve focus and confidence on our feet. It is wild. This is all rooted in the science of embodied cognition, which tells us that if we take up more space, we feel more confident, and vagal nerve theory. Your vagus nerve is the largest nerve in your body. It connects the brainstem through the heart cavity all the way to the gut. And it's responsible for such important functions like resting, relaxation, cognition, thinking on your feet, digestion, breath regulation. All of this serves to help you feel more at ease and socially connected. It's also responsible for transmitting information on the gut-brain axis. And recent research has shown that our gut brain has 100 million nerves and that it is primarily responsible for enhanced cognition and thinking on our feet. Meanwhile, when we are in fight or flight and our sympathetic nervous system is activated, our vagus nerve shuts down. Our parasympathetic nervous system cannot coexist with the sympathetic. And so our ability to rest and digest and feel at ease turns off. Another really interesting thing about vagal nerve theory is that 80% of the fibers are going from the body to the brain, but only 20% of the fibers are going back down from the brain to the body. And what this tells us is that we have a greater ability to impact our thinking by making big physical changes instead of trying to think our way out of the anxiety, which doesn't work. I've tried it. The idea with activating our vagus nerve is to get sturdy and stable in our physicality. This is so counterintuitive when the anxiety itself is telling you to fidget and move and fill space. So the move here is to focus on taking up space. Leaning back helps you feel expansive in your body language, and you can also tilt your screen back to you so that you can take up space physically on the screen as well. The key with this tool, in addition to the fact that it increases your hormonal confidence, when you are at ease and your vagus nerve is working, you are increasing your access to serotonin and dopamine, really important hormones in leadership and communication. But the key about leaning back is that it is not habitual. When we are in habitual behavior, we have more of a tendency towards habitual thinking and anxiety. And so choosing a tool that is not habitual, that requires a bit of effort, that again takes the part of your brain that wants to race ahead and run, to give it a job, it's a distraction mechanism. So let's practice this. Lean back in your chair and really let a part of your attention rest on the tactile sensation of your back against the chair. You will return to thinking over and over again. You're a human being. We have so many thoughts a day. When you realize it, instead of beating yourself up, return to the anchor of that tactile sensation. You're back on the chair. Or you can even feel your foot in your shoe, or you can hold a prop. All of these will create the tactile sensation, but they need to be singular. Choose one focus. So I'll ask you a question off the cuff, and you can practice responding and keeping a part of your attention on a tactile sensation in your body. Here's the question. How do you think you are perceived? Were you able to let a part of your attention rest on the physical? Why don't you change up the tool now and choose a different tactile sensation? I love to put my attention on where my foot sits in my slipper. It is so tactile, it is so tangible, and it helps to root my attention further down in my body to help me feel more grounded, because I have a tendency towards feeling quite flighty when I get anxious. So here's a question to practice while rooting your physical energy in your body. How do you want to be perceived, and how is that different than how you think you are perceived? Wonderful. We just did a tool of body language and body focus. And now I want to share a tool of content and organizing information on your feet so that you can speak with concise clarity. This is one of my favorite tools. When I'm asked a question off the cuff, my mind is flooded with 50 ideas and then goes completely blank, and I lose my train of thought. Almost always when this happens, I am looking up, saying unconsciously, and holding my breath, which stops the flow of thinking. And so I have really incorporated a combination of tools. That means that I'm really anchoring into my body and grounding for a breath when I'm asked a question to find my golden nugget. And my golden nugget is a word or a phrase that encapsulates what I want to say. It's almost like the headline for the response. It is simple. It is almost always the first idea that comes to me. And it is the biggest thing that I want the audience to remember. And so let's say I'm asked a question like, what's the most important part of being present? And I might, comfort is the most important part of being present. We cannot be present if we are uncomfortable, and we cannot feel present if we feel unsafe. So for me, I created a moment of connecting with myself and listening. When we look up, we are signaling to our bodies that we don't know what we want to say, but you do know what you want to say. And I want to encourage you to listen to yourself and connect in that moment, to oxygenate the body instead of holding your breath, and to simplify your focus so that you can be singular in your response. You can always break it up in your response after that golden nugget, but leading with the golden nugget enhances concise clarity and helps you project more leadership. These are just two of the tools of comfortable confidence, but you could choose any tool at all, as long as it is not habitual, as long as it creates focus in the moment for you. The tools that I recommend through this approach just happen to increase your hormonal confidence, but you could choose anything as long as it's specific and it speaks to you. Thanks so much again for spending time with me today. I hope that this was helpful to help you unlock your voice, and I look forward to keeping in touch.